Welcome to Meet NBPD, our second session, and we're here live today with Officer Mark Raposa and Lieutenant Amos Mello aboard one of our fine vessels that patrols our port every day. What do you think, Amos?
Well, Chief, we couldn't have picked a better day for this. About 2 months ago, we said we wanted to do the shoot with the Marine unit and Port Security unit, and we couldn't have picked a better day.
We're here today with Officer Mark Raposa, will be our skipper on our boat today, who's a full-time officer down here on our port security team. What do you think, Mark?
It's a great day. It's going to be a good time. Let's get underway.
Let's get on board and get moving, Gus. So, Officer Raposa, tell us a little about what you do down here with the port security team.
Well, we're responsible for safety and security of recreational vessels in the harbor. Screening and inspection of foreign flag vessels when they come to State Pier. We do a lot of recreational boater outreach where we try to make contact with the recreational boater in the summer months and usually pass them out a handout or talk to them a little bit about boater safety, a little bit of outreach when we're there.
That's excellent. Sounds like you're doing a little bit of community policing on the water.
Yeah, somewhat. Most of the people are pretty happy when they're out boating, so we try to catch them at a good time and talk to them a little bit, see how the day's going, and see if they have any issues as far as the safety equipment.
That's awesome. That's awesome, Mark. And we also, you're also out here during the like some 4th of July events and other major events. If we get some tall ships in or festivals, is that correct?
Yeah, we usually come out. Usually a larger crew of officers will come out. We work in conjunction with the dive team to be able to respond to emergencies above and below water.
So, Mark, can you tell the public a little bit about the type of training, the high-level training that you have to be on a port security team? I know you do some dive training. There's got to be some boat training. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I got my start with recreational boat deliveries, Palm Beach to Newport. A little bit of offshore experience. Built my time for my Coast Guard license, and then had my own boat and did some of my own boating and fishing in the area. So it's always a unit I wanted to work in. I taken some courses at the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center related to security zone training and also port security in general. The other courses offered there are also some underwater recovery courses and courses related to general boat operation and maritime policing.
So you do a lot of rescue training as well, right?
We do. We try to train for anything we might run into, and also just self-rescue, ways to take care of ourselves in case of an emergency.
Now, Mark, the port security unit, how many individuals are in that unit?
Currently there's a supervisor and 5 patrol officers.
And it's safe to say that the port security unit just doesn't spend all its time on the water, correct?
No, we're also responsible for areas that involve commerce, anywhere that transportation is involved, train tracks, State Pier, the New Bedford Regional Airport, and of course the harbor.
I suppose this would be a great time to explain to all our viewers out there how the port security team works with other divisions of our department, like the Special Reaction Team. Talk a little bit about that.
Several years ago, the department started a maritime special response team in response to threats around the world involving maritime issues. The team consists of 8 members who are SWAT team members that can be deployed in a maritime environment, access a ship while underway in difficult maritime environment.
Wow, that's exciting. That's some high-speed, high-technical training that they must do as well in conjunction with the Port Authority, the Port Security Team. That's great.
Well, Mark, you know, what would you tell the average boater or someone that owns a boat that wants to, you know, take it out in our harbor? Would you have any guidelines for them or safety tips?
Well, first and foremost, if you're going to come into the harbor, please obey the speed limit. It's 5 miles an hour. Please wear a life jacket, and please choose a sober operator for your boat.
Excellent advice.
Talking about that, Officer Raposa, you do and enforce all the laws out here on the water, including operating a vessel under the influence of alcohol or drugs.
We do, and you know, some folks, they think that drinking and boating go together, and you know, it's fine until someone gets hurt, and unfortunately we see that every year. There's an issue or an accident, and majority of the cases involved an operator that was impaired.
Yeah, so the message out there, I think Lieutenant Mell, you brought up a really excellent point about boating and keeping the environment safe and responsible boating in operation, because it can lead to serious injuries and even loss of life.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, we all know that boating is something that's enjoyable by all of us. You know, you get a day like today, it's beautiful out here, you want to have a good time. You know, if you're going to celebrate on a boat, celebrate responsible, right?
Absolutely. Save it for your time at the dock, and when you're underway, stay sober and have a safe trip.
So looking around here, Lieutenant Mello, what a beautiful harbor we have here. This has got to be one of the best assignments we have on a job. Sounds like you and I should think about transferring down here.
I wish I could, Chief. Can you make an opening for me?
I was thinking two, one for you, one for me. Also, Raposa, talk a little about this vessel we're on. This is high-tech vessel here, some serious power on the back here with these twin engines.
Yeah, this it's a 27-foot safe boat. It's built specifically for maritime policing. 600 horsepower, 4-stroke engines, forward-looking infrared, full navigation, full complement of radios. Pretty much all the equipment we need to do the job safely, regardless of the conditions or visibility.
So, Officer Raposa, can you talk a little bit about your cross-training that you have and some of the members of the team have?
Well, I've been assigned to the dive team also for the past 7.5 years. I'm a certified public safety diver and participated in a few recoveries here in the city. We train once a month, and many of the members on the team are also cross-designated as Homeland Security officers, which allows us to assist Customs and Border Protection at State Pier, and also to complete border searches on vessels that come into the city from beyond the 12-mile outline.
So, Mark, can you tell us where we are right now? It looks like we're in the front of the boat in a nice little compartment here.
It's the forward berth. We keep equipment up here, but it's also sized to accommodate members of the MSRT. We could put 6 members that are fully geared up, ready to do a boarding on a vessel either in the harbor or offshore. We like to keep the members up forward, out of view, so that the target of our boarding is not aware that we're coming on with a full boarding team. They may only see one officer at the helm, but there's actually a full boarding team on board.
Can you tell us a little bit what that MSRT stands for?
The Maritime Special Response Team is members of the SWAT team who have been cross-trained in maritime operations. They've been trained to board vessels who are non-compliant, ships that may have been taken over by another entity or suspect, and get on board regardless of whether or not the vessel slows down, changes course. This boat, the crew and their training will allow us to get on board.
That's great. And I notice you also have some medical equipment in here also, right?
We do. We keep a litter on board, AED, full medic bag, 200-foot tow rope, some entry tools to get on board a vessel if we're trying to get on board and denied access. Extra life jackets, things like that. The life jackets are just kept on board to meet Coast Guard requirements. We can carry up to 12 people, so we keep enough on board to accommodate all those folks.
Stand by, because when we come back, we're going to talk about the naming of this boat, as well as the positive interaction we have with recreational boaters. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Taya Leone, and you're watching New Bedford Cable Network. Good for you.
Body language can tell you all sorts of things. Like someone is having a stroke. Know the sudden signs. Learn fast. Face drooping, arm weakness, speech difficulty. Time to call 911 and get them to a hospital immediately. Learn the body language and spot a stroke fast. Body language can tell you all sorts of things. Like someone is having a stroke. Know the sudden signs. Learn fast. Face drooping, arm weakness, speech difficulty. Time to call 911 and get them to a hospital immediately. Learn the body language and spot a stroke fast.
Get caught buzz driving, and you could use some hard time.
Craig, knock it off.
Sorry, Mom.
It could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. And that could set you back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Every day across America, excess food is gathered by a network of good people at local food banks, giving hope to millions of children who struggle with hunger. They've earned their wings, and you can too. Together, we can solve child hunger. Support Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
You make me wear my bike helmet. Taught me never to run with scissors. And to follow the swimming rules.
You tell me to stay away from drugs.
To always buckle my seatbelt.
So why do you keep a loaded gun in your drawer?
How safe is that?
You asked them to follow some safety rules. Now they're asking you. In fact, they're counting on you. Never let your gun get into the wrong hands. Remember, always lock it up. Visit ncpc.org.
You make me wear my bike helmet. Taught me never to run with scissors.
So why do you keep a loaded gun in your drawer?
How safe is that?
You asked them to follow some safety rules. Now they're asking you. Never let your gun get into the wrong hands. Always lock it up.
I'm a teacher. Let me tell you what I make. I make learning a privilege, not a chore. And frustration, a tool, not an obstacle. I make working hard seem easy. And giving up, impossible. I make an old subject feel like a fresh thought, and unconventional methods common. I'm a teacher. I make more.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Hi, I'm Taya Leone, and you're watching New Bedford Cable Network. Good for you.
Welcome back with me, NBPD. It's a beautiful day. We're out here in the harbor, the beautiful New Bedford Harbor, and we're going to be talking about a few of those items that Lieutenant Mello was talking about. But first, let's go to Lieutenant Mello. Let's talk about some of that recreational boating interaction that our port security is having with our guys.
Definitely, and the person most best suited to answer these questions is going to be Officer Mark Raposa.
So most of our contact with recreational boaters comes from folks that aren't familiar with boating. They have a new boat. They're driving a friend's boat. And we try to educate them on some of the rules of the road. We'll give them a pamphlet. We'll also do an administrative safety inspection on the vessel. We're looking for one PFD for every person on board. A throwable PFD, life ring. Some seats are convertible to life rings. We're looking for flares if they're operating at night. We're looking for smoke if they're operating during the day. Fire extinguishers, anchor, line, a pump or a bailer, a bell if they're 26 feet or over. We're checking the boat registration, making sure it's active, and checking their navigation lights. And we have a checklist sheet that we'll give them, and it's not a citation, it's more informative. And we'll give these to folks so they can run down this list themselves and make sure that they're okay before they get underway.
And when you refer to PFD, it's a personal floating device? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, personal flotation device. It's similar to this. This is self-inflating. Some are just foam. There's a few different styles, but we want to make sure people are wearing them depending on the age of the passengers and that they have enough on board for everyone.
Good point, Mark. And you know, it's easier said than done. I mean, you know, anybody can just jump on a boat and think that they can be a captain of the boat, right? And just come out here and they're gonna, you know. But there's a lot of rules and there's a lot of things they need to know, right?
There are. One of the most common issues we see is folks with mechanical issues who don't get the boats prepared correctly. They end up stranded. Which on the water you can call towboat, or possibly another friend could tow you in, but you don't want to be out there stuck. You could run into some issues. A lot of folks simply don't know you can't take your boat certain places. There's not enough water, there's rocks, things like that. So we get some boaters that will damage the boat and be stranded. And some boaters don't realize that there are rules on the water just like there are on the road. And our biggest issue that leads to most of the major incidents is folks that drink and operate their boats.
Well, Mike, those are all great points that you're making there, but tell me a little bit, because we've seen it come close to home where we have some boaters out there, either experienced or inexperienced, that really don't have the respect for the weather, the inclement weather, and not monitoring the weather stations and get caught up there in a mess. What kind of advice you have for folks that are watching out there that are either boating or would like to get into the boating business, some recreational boating or fishing?
Heed the weather reports, and please don't risk it. If it looks like the weather's going to turn bad, just don't go. Save it for another day. Check your marine forecast, and if it looks like it's not going to be pleasant, you can always try another day.
That's a great point, Mark. And if you're thinking about going fishing and the weather's a little rough, hey, plenty of fish markets in Bedford. You can go get your fish for the day and give it a whirl another day. What do you think, Lieutenant?
I agree with you. I couldn't agree with you more. Hey, another good point, Mark, that I think, how about not every boat's got some type of GPS or some type of device that'll tell you where you are, correct? I mean, so if you're an inexperienced boater and you decide to just take it out in open waters, is there a good possibility you might lose your bearings?
Yeah, that's a big problem, depending on what the weather is. If it gets foggy and it stays foggy and your compass is not up to par, you may have an issue. Even if your compass is up to par, you still run the risk of colliding with a fishing vessel or a ferry or another big boat that's not going to see you.
Great point.
Officer Raposa, you're making really great points here, but I just thought of one, and you let me know if we're on point here. Anybody that's going out should tell somebody where they're leaving from and where they plan on going, and in case they lose communications or they have a medical emergency. I'm looking around your boat here, and I happen to see an AED right behind your seat. What kind of advice do you have for people that are potentially going out today?
If folks are going out, we recommend they file a float plan with a friend. And all that is where you're going, what time you expect to be there, and what you intend to do if the weather turns bad. If you're going to stop at another port, let them know that you have some options in mind. And also, make sure your VHF radio is working correctly. Cell phones are spotty on the water. Make sure that radio is in good working shape, and know where you are.
Excellent point. Excellent point. Lieutenant Mello.
No, I've got nothing more, Mark. That was a great point. And why don't we talk a little bit about this boat itself, Chief? I know we named it after an officer that was on the job many years ago and unfortunately lost his life to this work. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I'm sure Officer Raposo will be able to weigh in on this as well, but the naming of this boat is named after Officer James England, who was a member of our department back in 1955, where he lost his life in the line of duty. So it's very fitting that the decision was made to name this boat in his memory. Officer Raposo?
Yeah, this boat was a culmination of a lot of people's efforts, and we felt it should have a name that would represent our core values of the department, and what's more of a sacrifice to the department than giving your life.
Absolutely correct, and I just want to reinforce what Officer Raposo is saying here today. That is the ultimate sacrifice when you give your life for your fellow man, and especially in line of duty as police officers. I can't think of a better way, and I think it was an excellent decision to name this boat and to memorialize Officer James England's work, memory of him himself, and also remind all of us of the work that we do here is a very risky occupation. Correct, Lieutenant Mullen?
Yep, couldn't agree with you more, Chief.
Yeah, I think it was a good decision, and I'm sure that family appreciates that we're keeping the memory alive.
So, Mark, can you tell us a little bit about what we're seeing on this screen, and let our viewers know what this technology is about and how it's effective for us?
This is called a 3D structure scan. It's used mainly by fishermen, but we use it to locate targets underwater. Depending on the bottom composition, you may find a human, but things like a vehicle, a lost anchor, a lot of times we can find. We also use this for surveys along piers. We're doing a security survey. This will save us some time. Instead of deploying a diver, we can locate targets of interest first, mark them, and then deploy the diver to those locations.
Wow, that is amazing, the level of technology that we're using, state-of-the-art technology right here in New Bedford. So, Mark, maybe you can just let our viewers know a little bit about you, because, you know, we all know that police officers are more than just a badge, a blue uniform, and the stuff we carry around our waist. So what do you like to do when you're not on the boat here working, tracking stuff down?
Well, my wife and kids like to camp. We spend a lot of time on the Cape, and quite a bit of time camping in the summer. As we all know, the winters here are tough and long, so we try to maximize our time outdoors in the summer months.
That's nice, and what's really nice to see is, Mike, you spend time with your family, a family man, working hard here, and then going home and spending some leisure time with your family and unwinding.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, this is a great job, but it's nice to get away and spend time with the family.
Absolutely, we need to get away from the job and sometimes decompress.
Okay, district operating.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I suppose in every year for Officer James England and Officer Joe Camara, on their date of passing, we have a moment of silence that we started last year on their anniversary of the day that we lost them, to ensure that we continue to remember them and never forget that they were here and what they did here. So we're getting ready to close out. You have any other final words, Lieutenant Mullen?
I don't. Enjoy yourselves out in the water, and if you have any questions, concerns, reach out to our port security unit. If you need any advice or maybe one of their safety pamphlets, stop by. Their office is located right on the pier, right by their boat. And whether it's Officer Mark Raposo or one of the other 5 members, they'll be more than happy to help you.
So as we get ready to close out, I want to thank Officer Mark Raposo for taking us out here today and for all his hard work that he's doing. I think this is just another example as we continue to peer into NBPD and you get to know us, how great and high level of officers we have, committed, dedicated and passionate about the work that they do. So thank you, Officer Raposa, and the entire members of the New Bedford Police Port Security Team, and of course the overall members of our entire department. And to the New Bedford community, know that we're here for you, and we know you're here for us. See you at the next NBPD.
Great. See you next time. We're going out and have fun.